Good evening and welcome to Metagaming. We're back. Can you believe it? I barely believe it, but look at us. Hey, we're here. We made it. So, anywho, this evening we have a magical, wonderful, incredible guest, Mr. Dobbsizzle, or Dobbsy, as you may prefer to say. He joined us recently around session 40, give or take, on the Wandering Isles. Somewhat long ago, but here he is. Come in, Mr. Dobbs. Join us. Sit down. Take a chair.
I can't believe you did the Paul Rudd thing. I can't believe it. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I can't believe you did the Paul Rudd thing. I actually put my head in my hand. I was like, oh my God, he did it. Look at us. Look at us. We're here.
We're here.
God, I love Paul Rudd.
How are we?
Good, yeah, really good. I'm doing really good. I'm a bit under the weather last few days from building PC, as you know yourself. Me and you definitely had too many good nuggets. We had chicken nuggets and they were great.
We ate nugs. We made a PC.
Yeah.
But that leads us to question one. Why D&D? Why D&D, Mr. Dobbs?
Why D&D? Honestly, D&D was on the radar for years. And I'd never had any interest in it. Full on disclosure, I'd never had any interest. And the big thing was, I suppose there's a couple of us at the same time that kind of was like WhatsApp group chat, hey, D&D. And I think it was more or less around lockdown time. And it was like, oh, want to play a game? And to me, it was like, okay, right, I'll give it a shout. I'll give it a go. And was just like, yeah. And to me, it was the idea of, okay, I'm going to play make-believe. And then it came into like, okay, I'm escaping my own reality, like creating the creative juices were flowing, like creating this character. At the start, there was zero creativity. And when we talk about my first character, people will be like, come on, bro, come on. I made like my first character basically was like I took half of the character's name as well. Assassin's Creed character.
You did.
Like I basically took an Assassin's Creed character and was like, hey, this is a D&D guy, he's mine. And it was like, no, Kyle. But I made him my own anyways. But I just at that campaign, we played that for how long?
Oh, a good while, like multiple years.
Like that was like over 2 years.
Easily. It was fantastic.
And
it was great.
It was fantastic. And see, I didn't jump into magic. I jumped into I'm a dude who runs around just bonking everything, just hitting shit, I suppose. And that was great. I loved it, you know. The role-playing stuff was kind of difficult for me at the start. It might not have felt it to use or anyone in the campaign, but it was difficult because sometimes I found it hard to just be in the character. But that changed when there was times where I could lean into the character because of how things went, which I traumatized our poor lovely DM by writing a backstory, writing out certain characters, not realizing, well, this is what he's included as backstory, let's use that. I thought if I murdered someone in my backstory, they wouldn't exist in the world. Who knew that the DM would actually use the story you've wrote him, which is not his fault, and I totally just put my foot in it. But the thing is that let me actually emotionally connect with the character to the point where I could actually put my own thoughts and feelings into it more, whereas before there was no creativity that was my own making the character. So it grew more and more. And then I suppose the next character I made was...
Well, let's pause there for a second, put on the handbrake. Let's talk about Turtrix. So,
yes, the first
who
one.
was Turtrix? Wow, oh, there he is. He looked.
God damn it, Roper, why? So Turtrix is a human monk. I went, again, zero creativity, zero brain cells used. I just went, okay, I want a human monk. Didn't think of anything spicy or extra. Yeah, so I kind of was like crazy for Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the time.
Oh yeah.
And it was more of a thing. Like, I've always loved Assassin's Creed. Extra Pass, I mention it every week, so it's just
we're not sponsored by Ubisoft, but Ubisoft, if you do want to sponsor us, hey, look,
I'm right here.
Look, to contact you the website,
I'll sign an NDA and test your games for you. Thanks. But just plugging myself
there
out
goes
there.
The NDA.
Companies.
He just said.
Yeah. They're just like, well, he's off the list. But yeah, I basically made an Assassin's Creed character. I basically made Ezio. Third Tricks is Ezio, basically.
Where did the name come from? Third Tricks. I think Luke asked you that one time. Like, where did you get this name? I can't scroll that far in the WhatsApp group. So where did you get it from?
I can't either. I probably could, but I genuinely think when you're in D&D Beyond and it gives you a suggestion.
No way.
There was a suggestion that was kind of like it, but I'd seen like 2 or 3 that were like I basically blended 2 together. It was like Thur something, and it was like something Ricks, and I was just like, it's like, ooh. But that's not the only time this happened with a character. We'll talk about other characters, of course, but yeah.
That's why we're here.
But like Ezio Auditore da Firenze, and I made Turtrix Auditore da Firenze.
Not Turtrix Quattro Formaggio.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing. So I made someone that was basically able to just hit things, because the whole spell slot stuff to me was like, okay, that's way over my head. Because to me it felt too much. Even in games, I'm very like, okay, I like to physically do things. Skyrim, I'm running around with a sword. Not about magic, any of that stuff. I'm always like a warrior kind of fire build kind of thing.
Ooh, that's a question actually for you. In regards to D&D and over the years that you played it, now these days compared to where you started, which carries more importance, stats or story as a player?
Yeah, I've had 3 characters in campaigns. Like, I've had done one shots. Those characters I'm not going to reference or talk about. They're only kind of just a once off. But the 3 characters I've had, it's leaned more from stats to still stats but story, and now most recent more story, less focusing on stats. And that's the thing where my most recent character, there's so much more development with the character and the story and everything, because I myself have made it to the point where I'm like, I'm not focusing on just stats. I want to build a story. I didn't get any kind of reference of like anything. I just, my friend uses a term and a phrase, off the dome, which just off the top of your head. So all of it was off the dome, like everything was off the top of my head with the latest character. But with Third Tricks, it was very, very character based off of the video game character. And then there was a blend of like other things that I kind of spurred out onto, the way the story went with him, where he met up with his uncle and etc. And then there was like a redemption arc of everything, with him, and that showdown at the end with his dad and everything. It was just badass, where like the idea of that character at the time, as well as it wasn't just like an Assassin's Creed character. I also blended in. I remember saying to Roper at one point, I like the idea of him walking on a tightrope of like, there's so much that's happened that he could sway good and bad. Anakin Skywalker kind of style, where it's like he's good, but he's been drawn to be bad in a way. Yeah. And eventually then, that was it. That's really it. But he had the choice at the end of does he fight against his dad and end it, and then he's gone technically to the dark. He's seduced by the darkness, or is it that there's the redemption and he forgives him and everything, and moves on? And he moved on. He started building a monastery.
Speaking of moving on, though, you moved on horizontally into space with Cronus.
Yeah.
Let's talk Cronus.
That was such a jump. That was such a jump. I went from a human monk to a Warforged artificer. And that is my screen background, my wallpaper. Big Chrono. He is beautiful. I love that character. He's amazing. I had no inspiration. Crow, yeah. My Crow, that's what he calls him, yeah. Imagine a Dragonborn just running around going Crow. So the idea for Kronos, I don't know where I got this. There was zero inspiration. I don't know what I was looking at the time. But I remember... I think genuinely it was something about magical items I was looking up and realised artificers can attune to more than 3 items. And I was like, that's cool as shit. So I looked it up and yeah. I was like, okay, what types of characters are there out there? Like I could do any type of artificer. And then I stumbled upon Warforged. And I think also at around the same time, we had a one-shot in person. And there was a Warforged there, and I was a plasmoid. And I was like, Warforges are so cool, holy shit, yeah. Then I was like, a Warforged artificer. So now, as you know, of course,
I do know,
he doesn't need to sleep.
Nope.
You know, his perception, he's basically a sentry. He's able to just walk around. He's just literally a complete utility. Like he's literally a Swiss Army knife. It's amazing. I love him. He's just so... He's able to do so many different things. But I really... And this is the point as well, where the story and the character are more blended in together rather than the stats just being bumped whatever way. So it's like the character is good at, you know, he's very perceptive because he doesn't need to sleep. He's awake all the time. When he has to rest at night, what else is he doing? He's looking around. Therefore, years and years of doing this, he's just extremely perceptive. So my passive perceptive is nuts in that. Obviously the feats are bumping it up like in different things, but it's just one of the things. So it's like, it makes sense that the robot that doesn't sleep is just docked into the wall for the night charging, and he's just looking around, you know. So I do love that. And I like, he's not charismatic or anything at all. But the story of like, how does a Warforged randomly end up in like this small village? I did go kind of wild, and I did run it by you, I remember at the time, to be like, can we do this? Is this possible? And he was like, it's your story, you do it. Docked into the wall, USB-C port. Yeah, literally key. Or I was about to say keen, literally. Yeah, Shermanator. But yeah, like the idea for Kronos, again, more story orientated, was that he started off as a human, and he was a boy who was wandering around his village, and there was not much to it. He was just a youngster, just very boisterous, and stumbled upon I suppose, an abandoned... I described it as clandestine.
Yeah, you did.
Warforged facility. So he basically stumbled upon this. I suppose the vibe I was kind of going for is Batman falling down the well and discovering the Batcave kind of thing. I went for that kind of vibe where he goes into this place and then like he activates this Warforged like facility that builds them. And what happens is he ends up being merged and built into a Warforged, and his body is like disintegrated and he becomes a Warforged. So he's more conscious than what a normal Warforged would be. And there's memories of when he was a child, but his name wasn't always Kronos. He was a little boy, so he had a different name. So there's all this backstory to it that's like not narratively been pushed or mentioned about too much, because as a robot, he's very cold and calculated at times. But then there's times where like something's mentioned or like a name is said, like, and I'm like, what? You know, it's like someone's like, I know about you, I know your past, and I'm like, you what? So yeah. That again, that's the whole thing of like blending, where it was just stats, so I could hit loads of times and bonk nonstop, to then narratively building a story and leaning into the character more, which again only evolved further with newer characters.
Let's roll into that, actually. Let's talk a bit about true, I guess, what would you call it? Viewing the world through your character's eyes as we enter the realm of Eldrin. How do you find that these days compared to day one?
Yeah, it's a big change, and so many years of experience now playing. Where does Star Trek say, Thiago? That's a question we'll ask later. With Eldrin, there was no, you know, hey ChatGPT, give me an idea here. There was no
Reddit
games involved. There was no Reddit, no Google, no internet, nothing involved. It was just me sitting down and just writing out things. And I remember before joining, there was an evening where me and you were in Discord in particular, and I remember just saying to you, I was like, I'm just writing things. And you were just like, oh, okay, because I wasn't playing games. And I was just writing, just scribing down ideas, scribbling out things, rewriting things, ideas, and then bumping back and forward with Roper, going, you know, this with names, different things. And we actually had to change the name and everything like that. You know, because there was a character that had a similar name. It was like, or the same name, I think. We had to end up changing it. So it was funny. But my first idea for that was, I don't know. I'll maybe play like a rogue. I'll maybe play a monk. I don't know.
Oh, not a rogue. Come on.
And that was the thing. That was the joke. That was because, like, I was like, I had played a rogue in a one shot.
You did very well, actually.
And I played obviously Thurtrix being a monk. I was like, kind of similar, fine line. And I was like, you know, in the world of the Wandering Isles, it's very different to any other world we've played, and it's very fleshed out in terms of like what's been done, what's thought out here. You know, this isn't a campaign where, you know, I'm there and I'm learning things. I still learn things along the way, but this is like training wheels off campaign. You know, time to bring out what I know about my character, what I know as a person with D&D, show it off, perform, and, you know, do all this stuff. So with this character, with Eldrin, there was so much growth, so much thought put into it, where that only evolved over time compared to day one. Day one, it was sheepishly thinking up of an idea and using whatever was relevant at the time, to now where it's like I'm letting all this experience just flow through me, go through all this, and just trying to put stuff into the story, you know, and properly fleshing out things, and not throwing Ken or Roper, sorry, like, you know, 2-3 lines and saying, yep, this is my story, hi, bye. It's not throwing 20 pages. You know, I threw him a healthy amount to say, this is the story, this is what's going on, this is what I'd like to do. And we worked it out together. But there was also conversations of, like, you know, the gang, like all of yourselves, like, as well, you know, and how am I going to fit my character in with yourselves? I looked at a few sessions to see, like, okay, what are you doing, where are you going, what's happening, what's going on, and to see, like, where's my character going to fit in, what's my character going to do, how is he going to go about things. And that's why when then he joined, he was quite awkward, and I wanted to do it where a character was. He's not the main character. He's not someone who's coming in going, I'm Mr. Big, Mr. Big Show. I'm going to do whatever. It's like, no, he has never been that. He's never been the Big Show. He's never been the boss. And he's come in now and trying to gather friend group, and yeah, I love it. It's really interesting because I feel like I play some segments of him really well, almost too well that I kind of question. I'm like, how do I do that so well? Like all the really awkwardness, I'm like, oh Lord, am I awkward? I'm like, Lord. I don't think I'm awkward.
Rather no, you're not.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I'm really awkward, but playing the introvert is exciting and funny because I'm extremely chatty and outroverted, like to the point where I could sit here now for the next 2 hours and talk, and you
That's
just be sitting there going, yeah. And how'd you do this? Yeah, okay. I'm doing 90% of the chatting, and that is not the plan.
It is the plan. Question
like,
if you don't.
I've been talking since 8 a.m. I'm ready to go until 8 a.m. again.
I have a question, Mr. Dobbsy.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. In the last 10 sessions, because it has been about 10 since we had Eldrin, going from the point where Eos thinks you're going to kill her to now being the point where you're potentially Dash's BFF and probably best man to the wedding with Lissa. Your character has gone from shy boy under the stairs to being a lucky charm to a major and also a multi-capable person in the battlefield. What the heck?
Yeah. So, yeah. Like the awkwardness was there, and then
still there,
I suppose there was, for me, because I remember writing this note specifically, and I was so mad at myself after it happened.
What happened?
But it was slowly. I had an idea in my mind mentally, like pacing of like how I would week by week change things.
Okay.
And eventually get to the point where I would just normally portray the character, and that's fine. Until I slipped up myself when I got kidnapped. When Eldrin got kidnapped.
You didn't consent to it, like you didn't know what was going to happen.
No. Afterwards, I slipped up because I didn't have my goggles on.
Oh, come on, like of all the things to slip up on.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing with the character. Nobody knew he had these yellow glowing eyes, and
nobody knew he had piss-colored eyes that could glow and shine in the dark. Like,
hey, they ain't piss-colored. Okay, maybe they might be a little bit, but But so the big thing with it was, I was like, I think it was Keen as well. Dash being perceptive. What is going on?
Dash being perceptive.
Yeah, because he's the one who was like, you took your goggles off? And I was, or like, you don't have your goggles on? What? And he was like, he picked up on it straight away. And when he said that, I was like, yeah. And in my mind, I was like, son of a fuck! I was so mad.
Because he was naked, wasn't he? He was naked. No, sorry.
I was naked. I was birthday suiting it. And it was just a moment of honestly where I was like, all right, literally the gloves are off. I was like, because everything else is off. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where I kind of like got up and awkwardly was like, all right, okay, yeah, I suppose you've all seen me now. Like it. And there was the moment then where afterwards I was like, right, my original timing and pacing had kind of just taken a nosedive where I was like, okay, they've seen me at my most vulnerable. I literally got kidnapped and I was naked. So I was like, they can't see me any more vulnerable. I was like, and so I thought to myself, as the character, what else has he got to lose? He has nothing else to lose because he's nothing else, and everyone sees him for what he is. There was a change in his entire demeanor where he was like, I'm shy because I've never been around people and fully like let people know who I am.
Yeah.
Boom, yous all see me for who I am. Nobody overly reacted. EOS.
Gonna kill him. Yeah.
So nobody instantly overly reacted. You didn't. It was a few sessions later you did. But at that point, it was like nobody was like, "Oh my god, he's weird. Oh, he's got yellow eyes." And to the character, that's okay. So we're all still friends. You just don't care that I'm different. You just don't care that there's something wrong with me, and it was like a moment of acceptance. But that's where his demeanor changed completely, where he was like, okay, but because of his relationship with Dash, that's where he was like, he's more inclined to be more trustworthy. And I have noted certain interactions where I would be like, I'm looking at it at times and I'm like, okay, +1 to friendship there, -1 to friendship there. I'm looking at it in a way of like,
okay,
wouldn't like that, would like that, and there's the whole respect thing and everything. It's kind of like my own little personal honor system. And it's not something that I'm doing like verbatim, but it's something that I am definitely taking in terms of like, as a character, you have to be aware and like tuned into these things. Where somebody makes a snide remark, it's like, oh, they're just trying to be friendly, or oh, are they saying something? Where 2 years ago, playing as a different character, oblivious. But now it's like I'm tuned into listening to these things and I'm hearing conversations, and I'm like, listen to a conversation halfway across the room, and then I walk off with Dash and I'm like, I think we should do this. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then I see someone that my character knows and is like, I'm going straight over to him, because my character is like, I'm, my background is whatever, and this, and where I'm from, etc. This person knows my family. I'm going to walk over to him, and I unfortunately get tased. But again,
yes, you did.
But it's still funny, it's still good crack. Like, that's the funny part of it, where he has this change in demeanor, and he goes, and then he's like, right, I have this little kind of jump on my step of confidence, and I know this dude, I'm feeling confident. I walk over, end up on my ass, confidence down. It's like, it's like, okay, let's reel it back in. I'm less confident because I just got put on my ass.
Well, let's reel it into our first audience question from the wonderful, beautiful, magnificent Busy Bee. Question: what was your process in creating Eldrin? ? How do you approach the character creation other than rip-offs?
Yeah, so I've totally, since my very first character, I totally was like, okay, rip-offs are not happening. Like, I was like, I did it.
Master Chief enters the Wandering Isles.
I nearly lost my breath there, for real. Master Chief, yeah. Oh my god, Cronus is going to be Master Chief, isn't he?
Well, if we want, maybe. Who sees?
If we wanted him to be, he could be. Yeah. But like, no, the creative process for me was, honestly, it was like, I want to play something different. I want to play something I've never done before.
He is so different, though. Like, from my perspective as the DM of Star Striker, he's Cronus. Knowing Turtrix, Eldrin is, I would never have bet money on it at all, whatsoever.
And that's the thing,
the
where
fact he doesn't have 6 arms is crazy.
Stop now. I will not condone 6-arm jokes in here. Not tonight. What the big thing, though, honestly, to answer Busy's question, is like, the creative process, honestly, was to try and make him very different, but also incorporate changes for the character. Something that I read one time for, it's actually interesting. I read it was about Breaking Bad. Yes, so this is a really unique thing. The idea behind Breaking Bad is that each season the character Walter White is different than the previous, and he's going through these like personal and emotional changes, and his demeanor and everything, how he handles situations, is different all the time throughout each season, and it gets progressively worse through each season. I read something about that one time, and it always kind of stuck with me that it was such a unique thing, and that I thought of that a lot with making Eldrin, where I was like, okay, there's a character development. You know, like, how else is the character going to move through the world? I wanted him to be very limited to certain things, where he has to go out and learn and develop skills and go out and do things. Yes, there's things he knows about. Yes, there's things he's privy to, but there are things that he is completely oblivious as well. So I wanted it to be that he went out into the world and grew and became a better person, a different person. Who knows? And that's the beauty that I'm thinking of it. Is like, it's the flavor of life. Is like, there's the option that he can go anywhere with this stuff. You know, he was not expecting to fight someone on one of his first days of school.
True.
He was not expecting to almost kill someone on his first day of school. He was not expecting to be able to fly. Again, because it's all just a big journey, because he's learning he can do these things. He never had the growth and development and space to be able to actually know what he's capable of. So it's a journey of personality and like an emotional journey as well for him, where again, he's just going to learn on the fly, literally sometimes, I suppose.
Well, no one expected the Evangelion wings thing at all, whatsoever. Like, honestly, what the hell? Like, when I first saw your image, I was like,
yeah,
Artificer again, Kyle? Okay. And then he wasn't.
Yeah,
Still
that's
don't know
the
what
thing,
he
is
is.
like,
Might be blacksmith. Who knows? But speaking of moments, though, next question. Thank you for that, Mr. Biz. Throw more in if you can.
Thank you, Busy.
From Kian Griffin, insert PPS number and IP address. What's your favorite way you've traumatized our DM?
I don't know how in depth I'll go with that, but again, that goes back to. Funny enough, look, that goes back to Turtrix and the idea again of not knowing D&D and not understanding fully the whole stuff with D&D. I thought, okay, we're going to create a story, and I was like, you know, give us all the sauce, damn it. Look, there's going to be a bucket of sauce, honestly. Like, the idea, okay, right, funny enough, is that Turtrix is pretty much Ezio. You know, Assassin's Creed 2. Ezio didn't have 6 arms. He could stab people like he had at 6, but, you know, Assassin's Creed 2, his family are killed off. And the big thing for me is obviously, look, my parents passed, and as a young age, and that's fine. But I put it into it where I was like, I wanted to put them out, so there was no talk of parents. And mentally, in my mind, I was like, well, if I put it that the characters' parents are not there, they won't be included in the story because I've technically wrote them off. Now, as someone who's now more experienced with D&D, and it's a Vecna campaign as well, yeah, I didn't realize that. Again, as a complete learner, a noob to it, the idea was like, okay, yeah, let's just play it. But then and do you know what? It's funny because like, poor Rober is like, oh my god, and I know he definitely felt bad, and I know there's times where he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But honestly, it made me learn how to connect with a character rather than just like blindly trying to portray a character. It made me genuinely emotionally be able to connect with a character because I could put my own feelings and my own genuine responses to things. You know, there was like, you know, his dad comes back, and you know, then there's a whole thing of like his dad is working for Vecna, and there's all these things, and there's stuff about his mom, and you know, all this stuff, and it's like properly able to throw raw emotion into it. And there was times where people, like some of the lads in the campaign, were like, yo, that was so good, wow. And I'm just like, yeah, trauma. Like, but I joke about that. I've severely dark humor, but the thing is, it's like that it genuinely made me grow with that stuff, but it also genuinely helped me process things in my own head, like my own actual things, as a person. But now it's given me the capacity to be able to create a character that I can now go, okay, I can make him grow emotionally and do all these different things and be able to actually process feelings and emotions and be connected to the character. So what originally turned out to be a big mistake is actually such a positive in terms of like this campaign that we're playing, because without that ever happening, I don't think I'd be able to make a character where I'm like, he's going to be very different, he's going to have all this stuff planned out for him, he's going to have like whatever happened in his arc, all these things. I don't think that would be the story if that had never have happened. And I don't think I'd be able to connect to D&D the way I can if that never happened, you know. And I kind of think of it as you're never anywhere without the steps you've previously taken, you know. It's like every decision you've ever made in your life leads you to this, leads me to sitting in this room talking to you and all our people talking to us, and there's philosophy and all that stuff trickled into D&D. So
my guy,
but yes,
thank you for that answer.
But I will say, I appreciate it, but yeah, the Dobbs disclaimer, we will say we do have a lovely trigger list now, and yeah, stuff like that is created thankfully because, you know, I exist and I will traumatize myself accidentally. At least I don't dox myself, Keen.
I was thinking of Keen. He had a question earlier that I actually missed.
Oh Lord. Right,
Keen. Again, everyone in the chat, popping your questions. I see Taco Bear has one, which we'll get to soon, about cookies.
Ooh.
But of the 3 campaigns and the one-shots we've had in between, up to now, what's been your favorite top 3 moments as Kyle, the player?
So I can see that, because there's also a what's been your favorite scene moment in your D&D career.
Yeah, that's it.
There's oh God, there's so many things. I really like the showdown with Turtrix and his dad. I don't know if I could say it's number 1, but the showdown with Turtrix and his dad, and there was a moment where it was just there's a room. Think about, like, if you could think of theater of the mind right now, there's a cavern, like a cave. There's a little bit of light trickling in from a crack above, and the room is filled with smoke and dust. You can literally zero visibility. Unless,
I mean, if those tunnels were created, we would have had more light, but
yeah. If I had created the tunnels, but like, think about that, right? Your dad, who is technically like, you know, your dad, but also you're like, I'm fighting him. There's this showdown happening because he is working with the BBEG, so it's like it's either you or me kind of thing. And there was a moment where it was like I was dipping in and out of the shadows, and he wasn't able to hit me, and I just felt invincible, and I felt like I had really, really understood the character when there was moments like that where it was like, I'm dipping in and out of the shadow, I have advantage on every turn, and I was hitting and almost critting nearly every time, and next minute, boom, at the end, I didn't kill him. And, you know, it was such a badass moment, but we all had badass moments in that campaign. There were so many cool things, you know. I think for Eldrin, I think like there's still so many moments to come, and I think there's going to be so many great things. in terms of characters. Like Eldrin so far, I think the whole growth so far is actually phenomenal with him right now. And I'm not saying it just because it's our campaign that we're streaming, but like how he's grown from such an awkward, introverted young man to the point where he's like having these proper adult conversations and not able, like, he's not like getting muddled up in his words. He's able to just be like, right, I'm very direct, this is what's going on. And it's showing flickers of his life before meeting the party, where he wouldn't have been shy, he wouldn't have been this introverted young man, and he was part of, he was part of the guard watch of Brick Sunder, where it was like he was obviously military trained. He's also like he's able to do these things, like, but I think with Kronos or even any one-shot characters, I suppose I can't go without mentioning my one-shot character, my plasmoid character, Zanver. He was a plasmoid rogue.
What did he do?
He climbed inside a Warforge, Mr. Ockbear. Mr. the Ockbear. Yeah. He climbed inside the Warforge, and I was like Flubber floating around inside him for the whole campaign, and it grew such a great friendship with me and John, and it was fantastic. And I actually loved that because I never met John before then, and I actually just loved it. And it was a friendship that, like, even the lads were there were like, you two never met each other, but you'd swear you used to know each other for years. And it's like, yep. The Taco Bear.
Taco Bear.
No, he's the Ock Bear. Oh my god, wait, it is Taco Bear.
Yeah.
Oh god, he's the Ock Bear now from now on. But to be fair, on my phone, he is John Bear. So screw everybody.
Notification be kind of okay.
Yeah, notifications be sus. Herself be looking at it going, who's John Bear? And I'm like, never mind.
Just give him the story about the Warforged and the Plasmoid, and yeah.
Yeah, like we were like, it was funny because there's points in the session where like he would just turn around and be like, do you want to get inside me? And I'd just be like, yeah. And out of context, it's so like, what the shit? What's going on here? But we were all sitting around the table just fucking losing our minds laughing. Like, it was just so funny. But I think, me personally, my favorite thing that I could say that, and I genuinely, I made Roper laugh and I made everyone laugh, I think it was the moment when there was a combat in I think it was the Bear Cave, if I remember correctly.
7 sessions to the Bear Cave.
I know the Bear Cave. I think it was the Bear Cave, but there was music playing, and the music was building up, and it was my turn to do something, or it was one of those moments where it was like, how do you want to do it? But so out of pocket, Kyle style. I was like, the music is climaxing and so am I, and everybody lost their minds laughing, and it was such an out of pocket moment, and I just laughed and everyone laughed. It was so great, and I'll never forget that. It was just because it was so off the cuff. It was just so, I forgot about that. The music is climaxing and so am I. Just, who thinks of that? I don't think anyone, like,
you were under so much stress in that cave for that long, and you came in with that, and it just fixed everything.
It's just, but it's so random as well. It's like, what are you even doing, little bro?
Little bro, we have another question from the chat. From the Ock Bear, or Thaco Bear.
The Ock Bear.
We'll talk about
he's just the Ock Bear now.
Who in the party are known NPCs with Eldrin? 1. Share a cookie with. 2. Make a dozen cookies for. Or 3. Steal a cookie from.
Okay, I'm gonna have to actually look at that. Right, so
yeah.
No NPCs with Eldrin. 1. Share a cookie with. 2. Make a dozen cookies for. Ooh, 4 cookies for them.
Yeah.
Steal cookies from. I think as much as Eldrin gets along with Dash, he would definitely be able to steal the cookie from Dash, because Dash would probably not be perceptive enough to do it. But that's just me also. See, this is the issue. I'm not in the moment of like in the character where I'm like, I'm letting my personal Kyle like idea of Jiren Keen.
Okay.
So I'm like,
but through Eldrin's eyes.
Through Eldrin's eyes, I think. Yeah. Steal a cookie from. I don't think he'd be able to actually successfully steal a cookie from anyone.
But surely, Come on.
I feel like everyone would be too perceptive, genuinely. But I feel like.
Even Dash?
Like, I'm not even trying to joke when I say I feel like maybe Dash, it could be if I could distract him. If I could distract him, like, I feel like, and this is the thing, like, with a character, you need to learn about them, you need to understand their motives, you need to understand all their things. So it's like, if I was stealing off Dash, it'd be like, okay, Liz is over there doing whatever, and he'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Steal it. Everyone else is kind of like, it's not that they don't have priorities, but to him, she's obviously a massive priority, so it would be like a moment of distraction, you know. So it was like, okay, increasing my chances of doing it. Baking cookies for, though.
Good question.
I think
He's got a good point, funny, by the way, if you want to look at chat about that.
Oh, you can see if her Dash remembered the Dash. You can see every boy stole Dash.
Freaking Eldrin and Paul Rudd on the deck.
I think, do you know what? My first idea when I said bake cookies for them was either Eos or.
Wow.
Oh, I think it will be Eos, yeah. Because he's tried to be friends with Eos, because Eos is the one that he physically sees that is so different and resonates in how he feels, even though he himself doesn't look extremely different. But, and this is something that I've never said to you, or something I've never said in
never questioned
session, but it's never questioned, but it's not something giving anything away. But it's like, he just kind of elaborating on things that have been said or done in session, but like he feels that obviously for so long he's been so different, and he's even in a school where he's seen magic happen, he's seen everyone be so different and, you know, unique. He still had his glasses on, he still had his goggles on, because he felt really weird, he felt different, he felt sick, he felt, you know, wrong.
Yeah.
And how Eos looks in terms of like her skin color of being purple, you know, she's exactly purple, or have you is she like a?
No, her skin is shaded.
You're gonna
purple,
say you're not gonna say like she's aubergine, something like that.
Her hair is lilac specifically, but her skin is purple. Yeah.
Favoritism.
That's not the only tism here tonight, I can tell you that.
No, I definitely have enough caffeine for plenty of tism, but like the thing is, so it's like how he feels is how she looks. Like people see her walking down the street, and if they've never seen her, they'd be like, oh my god, and they'd maybe run, they'd maybe go like report her, you know, or try like attack her or do something. But that's how he feels, because he's always been raised to think that. So there's that idea of like friendship and companionship to her, of like, in a way of like not feeling sorry for her, but like understanding, a mutual kind of understanding, even though he's never expressed it to her. But it's a thing of like the understanding of like she doesn't show that it bothers her that she's different, but he hides it really well behind the goggles that there's feelings there. And this again, it leads back into the previous conversation of like traumatizing the DM. If any of that had never happened, like if none of that happened, I'd never be able to think and process all these things that I want to think about for this character, where I'm thinking of 10 things at one time, to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to do this, okay, I'm going to do that. And there's times where I will definitely clock out, because I'm thinking so much of like, I'm going to do this for this reason, I'm going to do that for that reason.
Yeah.
And I will just wander, because my brain is like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this.
The wandering mind.
The wandering mind, literally. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'll do that for this reason. So it's honestly really unique. So I definitely think I'd cook a dozen cookies for her. As for the last one, share a cookie. See, I'd love to share a cookie with Hatsu, but I think he wouldn't. I don't think he'd want the cookie.
If the power
especially
cookie,
because of the Powerball. But if there was a Powerball
cookie,
if there was a Powerball like substitute, but a cookie,
Powerball Easter
power
egg?
cookie, I think so. But I feel like that's the thing, because it was either between Eos to bake the cookies for or Hatsu, because the thing again is with Hatsu, he's shown this level of respect to Eldrin, where he was like, you don't call me, Hatsu, you call me Hatsu-san.
Yeah.
And there was a moment there where he was
great.
like, you can now call me Hatsu. And honestly, I loved it.
Yeah.
But like, to anyone who didn't see any of the background stuff, or like, know that I know Biz for God only knows how long now at this point. I don't know how long we know Biz, or how long I've been playing games with Biz. Like,
what the hell? Ark, Valheim.
Ark and Valheim. Like, but it's so funny is because to be like on stream, it's like, oh, that's confrontational. Ooh, spicy. Ooh, okay. He doesn't like him. Ooh. And I was like, when he did it to me, I was like, yeah. Hell yeah. And I was like, let's do that. Let's go for this. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Especially because the whole building friendship, building relationship or rapport with the gang and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I really apologize. And it was like a sign of clear like thing of, oh, I need to respect him. I need to earn respect for him.
Yeah.
And then when I did, it was, there was an excitement in him of like, okay, perfect, great. I've made a friend and he respects me and I respect him. And it was like, but don't ruin it. And then that's why he didn't just instantly turn and say, thanks, Hatsu, I guess we're friends now. He continued to be like, oh, thank you for your, kindness and generosity, Hatsu-san. And I continued to call him Hatsu-san, even though Hatsu was like, I'm just Hatsu now. It was still a sign of respect to him, because again, the whole emotional maturity of the character slowly increasing. It's like I'm turning up the volume of things ever so slightly every session.
That's
so
which leads me to my next
it's
question.
exciting to play.
Technically, you're still the new player in the band. You're now the accordion player to our folk gang band, whatever we are. I know Biz plays bass as far as I'm concerned. So
I play the flute.
Potentially. Pan flute. Who knows? How these days now during the games, between say Dash is doing something and Major is doing something, you're thinking about what you're going to do next. Does it come more naturally because simply you weren't with us since the very start? How's the fitting in going? Are you comfy?
Comfy, yes. Are there times that I kind of think, what's going on here? Do I interject here?
Yeah.
Is there something I could say with that? Would I know anything with this background?
Like stab Dash, take off his nipples.
Like there's certain things where it's like, Eldrin may know something but Kyle doesn't, or Kyle knows something but Eldrin doesn't. So that's the big thing with experience, I feel, is that you understand the consequences of metagaming, and you understand that metagaming is plug. But like the whole thing of metagaming is like, you're just ruining the story, and it I think metagaming would be it'd be the film equivalent of like, why didn't they just get the hobbits on the hawks and or the eagles and bring them to Mount Doom in the first place?
No, good point.
Because they knew about it and the story is written that way. It's like, no, it takes all away. And I'm definitely going to spark debates everywhere and anywhere with this stuff. But like, I just think that if I know something, it doesn't mean my character does. As much as it may be a point of like, this will really help me, it's like, no, you need to have that level of restraint. And I think that's the big thing really with it, where the experience really, really comes into play then, you know. I think with being the character that is newest, there is a bit of pressure on me. That...
Did you sense that pressure though?
Yeah.
In session 40 when you were under Ilsa's stairs?
Yeah. Like coming in and being like, hello everybody, and then coming in and instantly like shouting in the halls. You can tell that like, again, this is the thing, but I also played it to the point where I was like, Kyle got it right. But Eldrin got it wrong. Whereas like he came in and was like, I'm this person, and you know, this is who I am, but realistically he's shouting in a dorm room at God only knows what time.
Yeah.
And he thought he saw one person running down somewhere, and he's like, I'm talking to people. Oh, there's only one of you here. I was announcing myself. I'm maybe someone important. Maybe not. I was told I'm important to join the gang here, but there's only one person here. So it's like, I played it to the point where it was kind of funny, and I feel like laughter breaks the ice a lot. In person, in character, not really. But I think I'm definitely in the groove now where I'm able to go through things, and I'm a lot more comfortable. Even after maybe the third or fourth session, I was comfortable to the point where I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I have a bearing. I have a heading I'm going to. I'm comfortable at the speed I'm going.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like the experience of playing for the last few years, but also different characters and different style of DM and different things going on. And also, big help is just reading the rules. Reading the 2024 rules, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I genuinely, when it was decided that I was going to join, I sat down and read the rules.
You read the manual?
I read the manual, yeah.
Jesus.
How much I've retained at this current point, I don't know what I could regurgitate for it, but I definitely read the rules.
They were there.
They were there. We need a Powerball emote. We are absolutely suffocating with a lack of Powerball emotes, because we can spam that on raids and stuff. But reading is for nerds. But you know what? I'm gonna rob you someday, Dash Heidman.
Speaking of Dash Heidman, there was a question from Kian earlier. I think it's the last question he actually posted. Who has been your favorite party colleague, and why is it Spytho? Oh, that's a name.
Why is it Spytho? What?
It's the name with weight. Spyro was a legend.
I don't dare think he said that.
He did actually somewhere.
He did. Why is it Spytho?
I mean, no one can defeat Spytho. Do you think? I don't know if Kirk's could.
I love playing
Equinite is very broken.
I loved playing. Spytho was such a great character. I loved playing with Adam.
He was the face of the party. He was.
That's the thing, because Adam himself is charismatic.
Yeah.
And then he even not as the face of the party, he falls into being the face of the party. Because he naturally is charismatic. I'm charismatically not at that level. I'm just a joker.
Who is Spytho?
I should be a bard.
Who's Spytho?
Spytho's from our very first campaign. He's a dragonborn. I can't remember if he was a warrior or fighter.
He was a fighter.
He was a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was a fighter.
From testicles.
Yes, he would kill people and collect le sac. But it was just, he was a character of principle, and I genuinely enjoyed it. But I won't lie, Richard's character, Juggernaut.
Ooh, Jugs.
Yeah, he played that so well. Like, I don't know how much experience Richard had with D&D before that campaign, or if that was his first, I can't remember. But he played Juggernaut just so well.
He was a paladin, kind of like polar bear thing. It was like a homebrew race, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he played it really well. But you know what? I'm not saying it because you're here, but you are one of the people that will genuinely play your character to the fucking T.
Wait.
You will take the compliment.
No.
Don't wave me away.
I'm backing up my chair.
He is saying it because you're hairy. Do you want? Maybe I will. I'll say it because you're hairy.
Keep saying it, I like it.
You will play a character where you literally pulled a knife on me.
Not IRL.
Not in person. Not IRL. Legally, we will say he did not do that IRL.
It was a screwdriver.
it was a Linus Tech Tip.
Words.
Linus Tech Tip. Yeah.
I like how the camera follows you.
But
go on, anyways.
So, like, your character, like, Eos pulled a knife on Eldrin and was ready to go because she seen something and was like straight on it. There's times where we're playing and I would maybe not say something or maybe not do something because, you know, maybe I'm not clocked in at that exact moment. Maybe it's something that I just, you know, I don't see it. I'm not attuned to it. I'm not, like, I oversee it. But you're locked in to the point where, like, there's something happening. Like the campaign where you literally took Juggernaut's heart out.
Yeah.
Like,
really thought that was a good idea.
You as your character, and I remember seeing poor Richard on camera and he was just sitting there
remember Jamie?
Just sitting there, and everyone was like, and you were just like, yeah, so I stick the dagger in and I just rip down, and I was like 5 feet away from stopping you, and I ran out of movement speed. And I couldn't stop you, and you took his heart out, and it was like, oh, okay. And then we had to go and try and bring him back to life somehow.
Yeah, really, my character thought it would fix him.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
It's like, inside the heart.
Exactly, but that's the thing. Your character is like, you know, as Rory, this ain't gonna work. But your character is like, oh, this is gonna work. This is great. And that's the thing. You won't hold back on it. But then again, it's like, there's times where it's like, with Dash, with Keen has had Tiago. Tiago got the shit ripped out of him, and he was a great meme character, and he was a good character to be fair. Yeah. But the thing is, he's playing Dash, and you can say, oh, Dash is a meme character, like Dash is a joke or whatever, but he's not. Like, look at it, look at the emotional depth of Dash, where it's like there's so much in terms of like deep trauma that's in there. You know, he completely went murder hobo
twice.
You know,
FYI.
And then there's so many things. I think I can't pick a favorite. Everyone has their great qualities and everyone has their strengths. I don't think I can genuinely pick a favorite character. I really like everyone's style. I don't think I genuinely can pick a favorite.
Out of the 3 campaigns, Twister, Star Striker, and Wandering Isles, who has been, you know, Turtrix's go-to? No, Star Striker is probably Girk's because, you know, there's like 3 of you. And then the Wandering Isles.
Anubis. Imagine it's like, don't pick Girk, pick Anubis. Okay, so Eldrin's go-to is definitely Dash. There's that relationship there
in his bedroom.
No, definitely not because of that. But it's like, everyone's seen him at a vulnerable state. He's fought a Madriana. he's tried to get a friendship with Eos and is like, you know, has similar interests. Slate, not a huge amount of interactions, probably the least. And then Hatsu, the training, the power balls, and like earning respect. But it would still have to be Dash and Keen.
There's like a Mr. Miyagi thing with Hatsu though, between us.
Exactly. But I definitely think
wax on, wax off.
He's definitely like Dash because of like he knows more about me. And then Hatsu is like the level of respect. It's like they're borderline like, yeah. Third Tricks, his go-to, I think. Oh God, it's definitely not you, Rory. It's definitely not Riri.
I know. Or Roshi.
It's not you. It ain't you or Roshi. Ain't any of them. No, he would have loved to hit them.
Is it Nessie?
I think it could be Nessie. No, I don't think Tiago. Oh, see, it's so difficult. See, I don't think Spytho liked that, like the whole kind of like stealing things. Because
if I remember correctly, it was Nessie's cousins who we roped into getting you Turtrix back alive. Remember
yes, that? He brought me back to life. Yes,
because Nessie Turtrix technically would have still be deaded. And
but it was his cousin
also. Yeah. Oh.
His see, that's the thing. That's why it wouldn't be Nessie. Nessie's cousin is the one who is some guy.
Some guy.
Some guy. There's an NPC for everyone in the audience. We will initiate you to his knowing and his existence. His name is literally some guy. SUMGUI. Some guy. He's just some guy.
Yeah.
And he screwed my character around without me knowing, and I thought he was a good guy, but he was not. He was some bad guy. But I think it'd probably have to be Tiago. I don't know. I think maybe I don't know.
Tiago?
I think it'd have to be. I think so.
Wow.
Or maybe Jugs. No, it'd have to be Jugs. I think it would be Jugs because actually there was a whole moment where Jugs carried him.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a moment when Jugs carried him when he died.
Yeah.
And there was like a level of like, to me with Richard, it was like, do you know what? No one else would have been able to carry me, and his character did. Thank you.
Because he's physically strong.
In character, it was like a thing of like he cared about me.
Yeah.
And when I knew you were, and this is where it then loops around full circle. When I knew Riri was going to take his heart out, I tried to stop you because I didn't want him to die. Yeah. So there you go, full circle.
Right, Star Striker. Who's Cronus' go-to?
Has to be Gurka.
Gherkins, yeah.
Gherkins. Has to be, but like it's funny because like he like it can't be Tiago, the new Tiago.
TVA variant Tiago.
The TVA variant, yeah. But it has to be, you know, because like even out of the NPCs or anything like that. But like Tom's how much experience in playing? I don't know how many months or whatever. But he brings such a dynamic to it. And that's what I love. This is the thing about playing D&D with friends. There's such an amazing dynamic that every person will bring. Like he plays an Echo Knight, I believe, isn't it?
That's one of his feats, which is very broken, by the way.
So he plays an Echo Knight and he's like, so I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this, and then do this. And I'm just like...
You just watch the roll, he's just like...
I'm like, you're what? You're doing what? And then he's like... So, do you see anything? Because he can't see shit. And he's like, do you see anything? And I'm like, yeah, I see this. And he's like, cool, we're going that way. And he does navigation and does like cooking and stuff. And he's like, do you want something to eat? And I'm like, I don't eat, I'm a robot. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So it's so funny though, because like, even though Tom knows the character, like I don't eat,
Yeah.
Kyle definitely eats, but Kronos doesn't eat. Like he'll still be like, "Oh, do you want some noodles? Do you want some grub? Do you?" And I'm
Noodles.
like, "No," and he's just like, "Oh, okay, more for me." So, and it's just, it's so good. It's really really refreshing watching Tom play because he's still learning, but he's taking it in a stride. So
He's teaching sometimes, I think I can tell you that.
he's teaching me things at times, like, because he just comes up with the most random unique things at times, which is so great.
Ooh, speaking of random unique things, we have a question from chat. If you could have a D&D item IRL, Mr. Kyle, what would it be? Ooh, what would your IRL D&D item be? Consequences.
So I've never
disputed.
I've never had in game anything above rare. I don't.
Wait, we had the crazy before
I don't know, I'm
Twisters
thinking-
got on long pause. We were
I think we
Drag it
got
forward.
something.
yeah.
I got. There was a staff I had, Staff of Thunder and Lightning. Basically, I turned into Thor, and it
Yes,
was.
you did. Those rolls,
beautiful.
holy crap! Those effects
Yeah, it
in
was like-
Foundry, sheesh.
Yeah, it was crazy. Do you know what? It's one that I've tried so many times to get in so many different things. Like, I love the bracers of defense. I love them. They're so cool. They remind me of the rings in the Shang-Chi movie where they're like
Good
going
movie.
down on his arm and everything like that. They remind me of that, and I love it. But Cloak of Displacement.
Really? You want that?
I'd love that.
What would you do with it though? Tell us. What is the
It's
cloak of
basic-
displacement?
Like, you could basically just be like, okay, it's not an exact cloak of invisibility, but cloak of displacement is like you put on the cloak and you're technically blurred in a tells. It's like the description is when you wear it and you're attuned to it, you're perceived as being in a different place than where you are.
Yeah.
And when people try to hit you, they have disadvantage to try and hit you. So, not that I'm in any altercations IRL, but like, I just think it's just such a cool item. It's such a cool thing. Like, I think that's just cool. It makes me think of Harry Potter with the cloak. It just makes me think of that. You know, I think honestly, a bag of holding would go hard as hell. Imagine just having a tiny little bag and just be like, yeah, everything's in there. Oh, I'm going on holiday? Cool. No excess fees with Ryanair, you know. Like, I'm just wearing it on my person.
Yeah.
Bag of holding, mate. I'm going through customs, not having anything. Just, yeah.
Imagine the X-ray of that thing. Just like, what?
Just
a black
throw
hole.
Just bring a pocket dimension. Just throw the family on holidays. Just single ticket return. Throw the whole family in.
There's no air in the bag of holding.
No, that's what I said. Pocket dimension.
Okay, thank God. No putting the wife and kids into.
But yeah,
Oh.
no, like that. But that's the thing. But like, I have a question to you.
Oh,
I know you might have questions for me more.
keep going.
But in terms of the characters, right? You're DM in one, and you've played with two.
Yeah.
Which character do you think has had the most like work put into it? Like in terms of like for like where you've seen like work being put into the character and you've seen changes with the character, like because you've seen a lot with all of them, even with Eldrin so much right now. But yeah.
Goddamn. Okay. Eos had the most pre-work.
Yeah.
And the way I play her is the way I play her, as you more likely know from being a session with me.
Yeah.
I play her. She observes, she watches things happen, and then she pokes and prods when she needs to. She had the most pre-work ever. Like her whole build up to it and the rework she had to do for 2024. that. The one who's had the most progression from, the start to the end, of course, is Roshi. Yeah. But Eos is like the crystal on top of this freaking tower. She is the beam of light, in my opinion.
What would you think for me, for my characters? Which, like, where, like, in terms of like
Cronus.
Character development, do you think so?
It's just because when I see Cronus and I see your roles and I sit back and I listen to you be Cronus, I'm like, God damn.
That's fun.
Because I've only had so much of a taste of Eldrin so far.
Yeah. See, it's funny because for me, I think of it as like a pyramid. I know you love pyramids. I think of it like a triangle.
Pyramid.
I think of it as like, it's like a slider.
Yeah.
Almost like, even, right? Like a guide of like, Thartrix was very just stat based. Eldrin's very like story progression based. And Big Chrono is right in the middle of everyone. And it's like, he does have all those crazy things that he can do. But also, look, in terms of level, he's
never rolled below 15.
But see, that's the thing as well, because I did absolutely min max one time, and it was like, don't you dare. But this is the thing. You think when you're first playing, oh, I'm gonna get all these cool stats. I'm gonna like have a really cool character. A cool character is not defined by throwing a really big roll all the time.
Yeah,
that's boring. Like, what fun is it having a character that has plus 15 and everything, and you roll a 2 and you're like, oh, I passed the DC. But realistically, it's like, no, like realistically, you shouldn't really be making that, my guy. And then the character has the personality of a wet mop. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't really match up, and that's the whole min-maxing scenario where it's like there's no point. And I did fall into that because it was like, I want a character that can output big damage, that can come in and be the savior. But then there was all the realization where it was like, maybe I don't need or want to be the big savior. Maybe I don't need that. Think about it. Thartrix. He was a support character.
Oh, he could hit, man. He could hit. He was fast.
I could hit. But what did I do towards the end when I really actually understood the character was a support character? Well, I used to stack up on potions of healing and stuff and be ready to run around to people. I was able to support with darkness, silence, all these things, to be able to do stuff and help people out.
That silence thing in the barricade.
Oh, God.
That was a smart move, though. The three fleeting bears, the freaking silence bubble.
Yeah. But then it was the whole thing of like, fed them the mushroom or whatever, and it basically turned into cocaine bear. Yeah. And
we didn't know.
They were all trying to scream, and it was just silence, and they were all looking at each other absolutely out of their minds. And they were all just like screaming at each other in silence, and it was amazing. But King, what is that emote? What the hell?
You ready for the final question?
Okay, go for it.
So we're in a unique situation. We're playing D&D on Twitch.
Okay.
First session, nerves, absolutely. But now when it comes to 6:30, cams on, mics on, whatever, and you sit down for 7, does it feel different? Do you feel yourself noticing a difference anymore? Or is it just good old D&D?
I definitely noticed the difference. Yeah.
Does it cause any...
The first session, yes. Second session, 70%. Third session was like 20%. Fourth session was like, okay, yeah, cool. Now it's just get in and I'm like absolutely vibing and loving it. Like even stream right now, absolutely comfortable, absolutely fine with it, and it's totally chill. Yeah, just really, really back in the flow of it, which is great. I was nervous at the start for sure. And the nerves definitely were there. Like even the point of like first time I swore on stream. And it was genuinely a moment of like, this is the point where, like, I believe Roper said it, where he was like, this is the point where Kyle is questioned if he can swear on stream, and he was like, you can, by the way, and I did then, and it was like, he was like, you swore on your stream. I definitely fucking didn't.
At all.
But yeah, but it's, you know, it's just fun because, you know, at the end of the day, we're a group of friends playing a game. Oh yeah, there's a camera on us. Cool. Watch us have fun then. You know, and that's the thing. You know, D&D is not for everybody, but if you give it a chance and you have a creative mind, just do it. Just, you know, and there's times where I've walked along with like my D&D hoodie and people have stopped me and be like, do you play D&D? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Do you play? And they're like, oh, I just recently started. I asked them about their character, and I tell them about one of my characters. You know, I usually
and
go
then you link
with
him
Cronus.
to Flying Orc and Solid.
I genuinely gave someone in the cinema our Twitch one night, which was actually funny. Yeah, it was one of the staff members like talking to me while I was doing it. And
do they want to put us on in an Omniplex, like Screen 6 or something?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, imagine just throw us on the max screen.
Oh, session 100. Hell yeah.
Do you know what? Genuinely, right? The big thing is when I open my social media, and this isn't like, I don't get nervous on stream. Mm-hmm. I don't get nervous really at all. But it's weird. It's like uncanny valley kind of thing. When I open up my social media and the first thing I see is like Flying Orc,
see your face,
TikTok or something, and it's me, and I'm like, do I sound like that? I'm like, I need to go. Yeah, let's talk. Yeah. Let's throw on the voice there. You know. It's like, do I really sound like that? Am I gonna have to start squeezing the gonads so I can sound a little bit deeper and not as not as high pitched? I'm like, where's the plug-in to make me sound like I've actually hit puberty?
Wow.
You know, and it's like, oh, that's how I sound, and I'm like, okay, great. I no longer like the sound of my own voice, but that's something I still haven't gotten used to. Mm-hmm. One thing as well, I didn't get used to. It's happened once. Yeah. It'll probably happen again, I'd imagine. But I had mentioned to yourself and Roper, the first time someone said to me, oh, hey, there's Eldrin. Like, hey, Eldrin, like, you know. And it was Mandalo Jane.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what? Hello? Hi. Yeah, Eldrin, yeah. And there was a moment of like milliseconds of like, oh shit, yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's the character, yeah. And it was fun. And it was different. It was like a moment of like, I feel like how maybe a celebrity like gets like recognized from like a movie they've done once. Yeah. It's like when you're out in public, I'm Kyle. Nobody calls me anything else. Oh. But then when it's like, oh, there's Eldrin, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. And it was fun. It was like a unique moment. And I even said, like, you know, by time session 75, 100, 200, wherever, 50. You know, and like a million people could say that to me, and it's like, you'll always remember as like the person that said it to you first, you know. And it's like you know, you see like if we make a clip and it goes so insane, and next minute someone makes like a video of it, like acting it out. Imagine someone acts out the voiceover of it or something. It's like, we'd remember that at the first time it ever happens. Yeah. The first time you're rolling that 20 in your campaigns.
It feels good.
It's like there's that moments of like that feeling, you know. There's all these things, and I think to kind of reel it back in and kind of go like explain like a D&D and why I've stuck to it and why I've kept with it is because, again, it's a game with friends, but it allows you to have that creative flow, and you know, it's just, you could do anything. It's the beauty of it. It's like you go into a session, you do anything, We had a one shot. We literally fought a lamppost for I think about 2 hours.
Yes, we did.
We literally fought a lamppost for about 2-3 hours.
We tried to put a different dimension. We did so much of that lamppost.
And then eventually the DM summoned like 6 demogorgons on us and was like, yeah. Shout out.
That's the story. Run out of time. As now, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Mr. Dobbs, for being here with us. Check us out
do this again.
Wednesday, 7 p.m. Twitch.tv/Flying Orc. For now, though, we're going to raid Viking James TV, capital T, capital V. The topic is D&D Act 1 finale. Okay. A space of chill chaos, musical vibes, and many a reference and quote. A Viking, a bard, a voice actor, force/coach, and coffee and pizza connoisseur. God damn, that's a lot of words. There's plenty to talk about. Tune in. Let's multi-pass our way on there, shall we?
Multi-pass.
Multi-pass! We'll see you all next time on the Wandering Isles.
Bye. Thanks for everybody joining.
Ciao, ciao!
Ciao, ciao.